is the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
Good evening. It is Thursday, the 9th, is it?
Yeah.
9th of June, of course. It's the summer. It's pretty warm these days. But it's good to be here at One Radio for another edition of the Speak Up. Jaedee Caines, my co-host, is alongside me. I'll give her a minute to settle in before she takes over from me. But I want to say a pleasant good afternoon to our listeners, to our regular listeners, and to those who are listening for the first time. Welcome to Speak Up. We continue to encourage you to speak up and to speak out about issues that are affecting you. I want to say a pleasant afternoon to the folks in Nevis 3, Nevis 10, Gingerland, St. George. Pleasant good afternoon to you. To extend congratulations and best wishes to those who are celebrating, in particular reason celebrating, want to share in your celebration. Of course, I want to extend congratulations to the family of the 4 Division women who traveled to Antigua to participate in the trials. They are now in Guyana as part of the Liberal Islands Hurricanes female team in the Cricket West Indies T20 Blaze tournament. As well, live with Sheena Freeman, Sonaldo Willett, and young Melissa Clark. So congratulations to them on that achievement, as well as to Colin Archibald, who would have been selected to represent Cricket West Indies 11 against Bangladesh, the two in Bangladesh senior men's test team. Congratulations to him as well. For those of you who are having would have had a difficult week, having a difficult time, or in the loss of a loved one, or just having that period of time that it's not all too well, we continue to encourage you to hold on to God's unchanging hand. Our prayers and our thoughts are with you. Jaedee?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here on this another Thursday evening, the Eastern Caribbean's Powerhouse. We are excited to bring another edition of Speak Up. I missed you guys last week, but I know that Rohan Isles is very capable of manning the ship. And so I apologize for not being here, but I had another assignment that I definitely could not have been avoided. This week we have a lot happening, and last week we had a lot happening, and we are going to spend some time this evening speaking about what has happened and what will happen, because it's exciting times for the Nevis Reformation Party. As a matter of fact, we are gearing up for the federal elections, which we know will be called shortly. And so we just want to let you guys know that the Nevis Reformation Party remains your best choice on the island of Nevis in terms of moving Nevis forward and ensuring that Nevis has a competent seat at the table at the federal level. I want to, before we jump into that though, extend congratulations to all who are celebrating at this point in time, and join Rohan in congratulating the division women who are doing great things in the area of cricket. You know, these are young ladies who I know, and so I'm very proud of the work that they're doing, and I'm hoping that other division athletes will see them and recognize that there is a lot to be gained in sports, in cricket, and so they can continue the hard work that they have already started to ensure that they get to a certain level. Remember, you can't just get up tomorrow and achieve greatness. You have to be willing to put in the work, and so congratulations to these ladies who have put in all of this work. I want to single out Sonaldo Willett, who is the president of the Nevis Reformation Party's youth arm, and she is also a constituent of mine, so I single her out because I know her personally, but I just want to let the ladies know that we are so proud of them. And of course to Colin Kezwan Archibald, who continues to do great things, and he holds a special place in my heart, him and his sister, because of family ties, and so just keep up the great work. Kezi and the whole of Nevis is behind you. Rohan, on the weekend we lost a cricketing legend for us here on the island of Nevis, Harvey Pompeyboy Stapleton. And I just want to offer condolences to his family and to all others who may be bereaved at this time. Pompeyboy is someone who is quite popular in the Nevisian community. For persons who are lovers of cricket, cricket enthusiasts would know him, and he likes to remind you that he took down a whole team. He took down a whole team as the bowler one time, and so he has done a lot in terms of cricket. Some of us know him in another light. However we know him, we just want to reach out to his family, particularly the Brownhill community, because we know that is a very close-knit community, and so they are mourning his loss. So condolences to all who mourn the loss of Harvey Pompeyboy Stapleton as well. Last week, Friday, Rohan, the Nevis Reformation Party launched in grand style, I might add, its federal campaign. And in launching its federal campaign, we revealed the names of 3 individuals who will be contesting the upcoming federal elections, general elections for the country of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. In Nevis 9, that's the parishes of St. Paul and St. John combined, we have Dr. Patricia Bartlett. In Nevis 10, which is the parish of St. George Gingerland, Rohan Isles. And in Nevis 11, which comprises the parishes of St. James and St. Thomas combined, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge. First off, Rohan, congratulations on taking this even bigger step. And can you share with me your thoughts? What inspired you to take this bigger step?
Well, thank you, Jaedee. Simple service to people. The opportunity came. The team was ready and willing to move on to that level should the opportunity come. Of course, we came in no secret at a local level. That was the intent, to run at the local level, and then we were thrown into a political swarm, and then we had to make sure that we provided the best possible representation for our constituents. Of course, we allowed our process to work.
Yes.
At the end of the process, this is what we came down to it. And Jaedee, a lot of people, think there's a major difference in how you prepare for these elections. The reality is, once people are the focus and the center of what you intend to do, then the preparation really is the same. The messaging and the intent doesn't change that much.
Okay.
What do you seek to do at the higher level is what really makes the difference. At that level, of course, we recognize that the impact is not as direct as a local level.
Rohan, 1 second. Can you just pull the microphone a little bit closer? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, and what you do at the federal level is a little different than the impact you'll get from a local level, which is direct. There you must be able to have a legislative agenda that speaks to the benefit of the people who you're serving. It is the only way that you guarantee that people are going to feel the weight of your endeavors. And so, for me, it is, as I said, it is service to people. It doesn't really change. I've been in Gingerland for the past year, and so I am eager and ready to take on the challenge of representation at the federal level. Of course, I've had to up the ante in terms of what I would like to see happen and what I would like to see done, and how we can get there, and ultimately what the end goals are. And so I've transitioned into that frame of mind where the legislative agenda is what is important now, and what is it the people are asking, and how do we frame our policies and our plans at that level to have that impact. Yeah, of course, in tandem with the local government that we intend to take when that election is called. So, yeah, it was what, 2 launches in under a year. So
you've been busy.
Yeah,
you've been busy.
It was good.
Now, Rohan, that launch took place at the Villa Grounds last week, Friday, and it was electrifying. Yeah. It was indeed electrifying, and allow me to pause here because I don't want to forget, or perhaps if my memory is good, I'll repeat it at the end of the show. But allow me to remind you or inform you, for those who are not aware, that the Nevis Reformation Party is having its political meetings, public meetings rather. We had our first on a Tuesday in Jessops, and this evening we will be having another political meeting in Hanley's Road in Nevis 10, and so we are inviting the entire community to come out to that political meeting, that public meeting. It's an opportunity for you to hear from your candidates, hear from the candidates who are seeking your support in the upcoming federal elections. And so we'll be going down to Hanley's Road at Jean Doer's shop. You can't miss us, so be sure to be there this evening. After the show, we'll be going over to Hanley's Road. We'll have some entertainment from 7 to 8, and then promptly at 8 we hope to begin and give you an opportunity to hear from the Nevis Reformation Party and its candidates in the upcoming election. So allow me to continue now. So Rohan, that launch last Friday, like our local launches, was quite good.
Yep.
And what I found particularly interesting about that launch is that we had a mixture of people. You know, we had young, we had the young at heart, we had Nevisions by birth, we had Nevisions by descent, and we had persons who had made Nevis their home. And so it was a nice family type atmosphere. We had great music, great entertainment, great speeches, and I've heard a lot of people talk about you and your delivery and how you spoke so much from the heart. I mean, naturally for me, none of this was a surprise, you know, and I tell them, I'm happy that you're wowed, but I'm not wowed because I'm accustomed to this. This man wows me all the time, you know, and so I know what you're capable of doing in terms of your delivery when there's a microphone in front of you. And I said, you know, one of the reasons why I'm not surprised by this level of delivery is because you're speaking from your heart, you know. When you're speaking from your heart, it's easy to execute because you're saying exactly how you feel and what you want to see happen. None of this is new. These are all things that you've spoken about that you want for the people of Gingerland as a division. As a division, you feel that as a young man who grew up in St. Thomas's, that these are some of the things that you want. And you realize, but they are not so much so different from the things that the people of Gingerland want. And so you are simply going out there and trying to be that bigger voice, because it seems that in the past there have been voices in Gingerland, but perhaps not a big enough voice to ensure that what would benefit the people of Gingerland comes to the people of Gingerland. And so Rohan, I want you to just pick out 1 or 2 things that you mentioned last Friday evening that were moments or ideas rather, not moments, ideas that you really want to see happen in Gingerland.
Well, you know, I agree, Jaedee. Yes, I grew up in Barnesgate in St. Thomas's Parish, and in my first week canvassing in Gingerland, it was as if I was home. And the reality is, as you said, a lot of things that you see and you want. It's the same across the board, and so it's easy for me to put myself in that position of representation. You know, last week we spoke about free education, and that is something I know you're very passionate about, and I spent the better half of my public service career in education, and I understand very well what it means to provide education at the different levels for our people. And I think that when you hear of how we are doing, we are doing well in our CBI program and so on, one of the things that comes to mind is how do we position our young people or how do we position our people to contribute meaningfully in the future to the development of Nevis? And one of the things that came to mind, why not provide education free for our people at least at the first degree level? I spoke about how countries in Asia, of course, you recognize that so often when we get technology, we are wowed and in awe by the kind of technology we have, but those countries in Asia have long gone past what we now have, and they're moving to another level. And it is because they recognize the importance of education, and free education at that. And so you see a lot of technical and trade schools and so on in those places, and China and Singapore are the two perfect examples. Singapore being probably the smallest nation on earth, 10th richest, because of the level of investment they would have had, or they would have placed in education.
Yes.
And you know, we have always said we're not just talking about education in isolation, we're talking about how do we marry what we teach and what we want in terms of our development.
Yes.
And so that is, for me, one of the things that is fundamental in terms of that legislative agenda that helps to put education on that level, and how do we move our school in the technological realm to make our schools competitive. I mean, we do wonders now, but if we can wholesomely transform our schools in terms of its technologies, access to proper science equipment and all of these things, making it easy for our students. Of course, we have spoken about that one-to-one laptop program, and I think people ought to understand the value therein. And we have seen that over the past 2 years, especially with this COVID-19 and having online classes and those kind of things. And so that is important for me. And then I also spoke about agriculture. And we have long spoken about agriculture, but we have spoken about it in isolation. Nevis is doing its thing and Sink is doing its thing. And I think the past 2 years was the perfect opportunity for us to move how we look at agriculture at a different level, and to have a federal response to the questions of how we manage our food security.
Rohan, 1 second. Perhaps you can pull the mic a little bit closer. I'm getting some comments from the Facebook Live. Guys, unfortunately, we are not able to remove our masks. I know you want to see us and you want to hear us even clearer, and we'll try to speak as clear as possible, but it's one of the guidelines of the station, and so I don't want to get any leaks from Mr. Herbert. And so, because he would say that it doesn't matter how old I am, he can still beat me, And so we are just abiding by what the rules are, but we'll try our very best to speak clearer. We're a little bit under the weather, both of us. We've done a lot of talking, more than the usual talking, because we're parents, so we talk a lot on a normal basis, but more than the usual talking. So our voices have struggled a bit over the past few days, but they're coming around now. So we are trying, and we'll try to speak a little bit clearer, and we thank you for indulging us. So yes, Rohan, you spoke about some of the things that you want to see. I want to throw in something here, because and I'm giving Rohan an opportunity, guys, to really speak a lot more about himself and why he's offering himself up, because as you know, yes, we were gearing up for a local election, but a federal election has come upon us. And so we want to give support to our candidates. I am still out here campaigning in Nevis 1, maintaining that I am number one in number one, but at this point in time we are giving some support to our candidates at the federal level, who, by the way, if you were unable to catch our launch last Friday, The Nevis Reformation Party's candidates are Dr. Patricia Bartlett in Nevis 9, which is St. Paul and St. John combined, Rohan Isles in Nevis 10, that's St. George Gingerland, and Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge in Nevis 4 and 5, that's St. Thomas and St. James combined. So that's where we are. They have been pushed into a federal election, but hey, the NRP still ready. We stay ready. Rohan, for persons who may be wondering why is there a need, or why do you think it's important for Nevisians to vote in a federal election? Because I get that a lot. Persons are asking me, but Jaedee, why do I need to vote in a federal election? I'm not interested at the federal level. I'm more interested at the local level. That's where I want to see things happen. Why should they vote? Why should we vote in a federal election, Rohan?
Well, we vote to really chart our own destiny, whether it's federal or local. And I think very often people we're not interested in federal elections because, and really it gets down to what the relationship has been between St. Kitts and Nevis over time. People really say, listen, there's nothing in here for me. St. Kitts do what they want, Nevis get scraps. And that's the reality. That has happened in the past. Well, why should you vote? The reality is you're part of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And legislation that is passed in the Federal House affects you, whether you want to believe it or not. And it can affect you negatively and it can affect you positively. And you want to have that level of representation that considers how the legislation affects you in Nevis. Or you want that level of representation that puts policies and plans on the table that are specific to you as Nevisians. And so it is important that you go to the polls to vote for candidates who are going to go to Boston and say, listen, I have come to Boston with a singular focus, and that is the representation of the people.
Yes.
So Nevis 9, 10, and 11. And how things happen at the federal level and how it impacts you. For example, we're talking about agriculture. What is happening at the federal level that can impact you? Right now we are seeing that in the St. Kitts, the farmers are doing pretty well or better than in Nevis in terms of the access to resources.
Yes.
The fisher folks is the same thing. As a matter of fact, the fisher folks find it cheaper to catch boat the St. Kitts, buy what they want, come home.
Wow.
And so at the federal level, if you have that level of representation, you can put the policy and the planning and program in place that whatever it is that is there for Kittitians, that you can benefit from that. And so, I would encourage people go to vote. National security is one of those areas that you pay so much attention to. Your security is fundamental to your existence. You want to go to vote to make sure that you're getting the representation that allows you to grow, allows you to develop, allows you to prosper. And not just you, but to allow you to have that level of comfort in your retirement age, that your children and your grandchildren have opportunity to prosper as well. And it is all about really and truly, it is all about putting proper legislative framework, having a sound legislative agenda that says the young man in Zion or the young lady in Cotton Ground should benefit from whatever is being done at the federal level just as much as the young man in Caines.
Correct.
Or the young lady in Tabernacle.
Correct.
And so you want fair representation. Now here's another kicker for you. When you have that level of representation that is always looking after your best interest at the federal level, that is what I've always called gravy. Because it's at a local level, the government is fundamentally sound, it is economically strong, and socially competent, then you should be doing well locally. The ideas and the policy should really benefit you. And so whatever the federal representation is giving you now is icing on the cake. And you're getting more for your dollars, they would say. And so I encourage people, listen, we are at a crossroad in our development. The reality is, if you look across the waters, the place we call our sister isle is moving in leaps and bounds. And the reality is, because we have not had representation that puts people at the center of development, and that is what our candidates are looking to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who tuned in late, the Nevis Reformation Party will be having another political meeting, public meeting this evening from 7 p.m. in Hanley's Road. We'll have musical entertainment, and then at 8 we will begin our speeches. So we want Nevisians, particularly those in the Gingerland area, those in the Hanley's Road area, to come out and listen to what we have to say. We will hear from Rohan Isles, who is the candidate in the federal election, and you will also hear from his colleagues, our colleagues, as we really put forward the NRP's plans and programs to not just benefit us, but to benefit all the people of Nevis. And Rohan has already come forward and said, look, here I am, use me. I want to be the representative for the people of Nevis 10. I want to go out there and bring back something for the people of Nevis 10. And we in the NRP are encouraging all of you to follow us. Follow us wherever we go. We want you to stay connected to us on social media. Rohan is very active on social media. All of the candidates are very active. I am very active on social media. Follow the NRP's page and go out to the public meetings. When there are public meetings, attend them. There are town halls, attend them. You should only be tuning in online if you're not physically here, or for whatever reason you can't make it. But go out. It is your right to hear from the people who are coming to you and offering themselves. I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with someone who supports the NRP listening to a meeting of the Concerned Citizens Movement. Equally, there's nothing wrong with someone who is a supporter of the Concerned Citizens Movement listening to the meetings of the Nevis Reformation Party, because I know that my opponent and others follow every single thing that I do, and they should, because that is how you learn, and that is how you read across the media. And so I just want to encourage people to make informed choices this election, make informed decisions this election, because it is your future and the future of your children and your children's children that would be at stake. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time we have for this week for another edition of Speak Up. After this, we'll be going to Hanley's Road by Jean Doe's shop. This weekend, we will continue over in Brick Hill, because in Brick Hill this weekend, we will have another political meeting this Saturday, and then on Sunday, we'll be in Charlestown. So stay connected to the NRP, because we are ready. A wind of change is coming. The NRP is coming to take back Nevis. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Join Jaedee Caines and Rohan Isles this and every Thursday on the Caribbean's powerhouse, Von Radio, for Speak Up, a social commentary talk show that addresses the state of affairs on Nevis. Expect great conversations, different perspectives, and an all-inclusive approach to moving Nevis forward. Tune in. It's time for us to speak up.
The views and opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or